Today I am playing with the Victrola the 8th and the 9th, which you've already seen in another video, but the 8th is what I'm playing with today primarily. As you can see, it's in oak, as they all are. I've heard rumors that there were a few mahoganies made, but I have never even known anyone who came across such a thing. Victrola the 8th was, that's the X with 3 eyes, it was the smallest tabletop model with a lid that you can get between 1911 and I believe 1924. It was a popular model, slightly smaller than the 9th, as you can see. Both have a 2-spring motor, however. The motor in the 8 is a scaled down version, frame-wise anyway, of the one in the 9, and it has slightly smaller springs. And this one is a 1915. The 1917 9, I mentioned that in the other video. And it has exhibition reproducer, as that's the only choice in 1915, and would remain that way, I believe, until probably 23 or 24, somewhere around there, before they got it. This is essentially a Victrola the 6th. That's the open top model, tabletop model. They basically built a cabinet and stuck the same mechanism in it. And this is what it is. This is the 6 with a lid, and it's the 8. Let's have a look under the lid. Victrola Company. There is, actually started working on this machine probably 3 or 4 years ago. It's finally completed. I did an earlier video on this. That was the motor test. I have since worked on the motor a little bit more, and the reproducer's been rebuilt. The one that actually belongs to this machine. I think the last video, which was several years ago now, I just used my basic test reproducer. I don't know if the video will pick up that one. It is, I can't even read it myself, 64,818 with the suffix F. And we are going to play Tai T, Paul Whitman. Might have played this one before, not sure. I have an awful lot of Paul Whitman records to go through, and there are multiple copies of many of them. So I'm not sure about this one. Let's see. Open the sound doors. Okay. Tie T. Let's flip that over and play side A. That was actually side B. So just a little love song. You know, it would probably help if I remembered to change the needle. And we will do that. Okay. Try not to stab myself doing it one-handed. There we go. Okay. And there we go. Now, one thing's important to point out with these machines is the changes they made to the lower cabinets, which I will show you here in just a second. Now, the flat bottom style you see here on the 8, this would stay this way. It started off in 1911 like this. It would stay this way to the last ones in the 1920s. However, the Victor Victrola 9 also started off with a flat bottom, but in 1915 it gained the feet, the little legs there you see on it, which raised its height slightly. Otherwise it would be roughly the same height as the 8, but it is a bit wider because it has a larger horn. The motor is physically a little bit larger. It has the 12-inch turntable, while the 8 only has the 10. So there are differences, and it's a little bit longer too. It's hard to tell on the side, but it is a bit longer than the 8. And it's a bit heavier. I think the 9 runs like 47 pounds, something like that. While the 8 is more like 40, 42, somewhere in there. Not a lot of difference, but when you're carrying it across a crowded flea market, trust me, every single pound is felt. Now, for the next one here, I have rebuilt a number 4 reproducer, and we are going to try it on the Victor Victrola the 9th. And we're going to try it with a later record from the 1940s. What is this? This is Beyond the Sea. There you go. And the reason we're doing this, actually, I don't have a whole lot of later, Victor Electrics with me at the moment. I did have this one, so we're going to try it. I may have played this before. But the whole point of the number 4 reproducer, this one is actually an HMV, an all-brass HMV reproducer, was so that you could play electrically recorded records on the older machines. That was the point of this. So we're going to try an electrically recorded record on an older machine, 1917. See how it sounds. Not bad, considering I know this record has some wear. I'm going to try to play the flip side. No auto stop on this one. I have never actually, I don't think I've ever played the flip side on this one. I forgot to make a notation on the slip cover. Strange and Sweet. But you can see that record, it's got surface wear. It does not necessarily mean it has wear in the grooves, but it does have a lot of surface wear. And I am using a low tone needle. The reason for that being it's easier on these records. And this machine, a 9, will get truly loud with a number 4 reproducer and a high tone needle. That'll really blast. I'd have to sit 10 feet from the machine. It'll blast you out of the room. When you're playing electrically recorded records anyway, not so bad with the acoustics. Okay, let's see what we got.
And sweet is your adoration, sweet and strange is my love for you, a peculiar combination, but it seems so exciting and new, strange and sweet, our hearts have this yearning. Sweet and strange, this magic desire, but the flame of love keeps burning, and they say where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm so afraid the spell will be broken, and each kiss forgotten too soon. Words that were carelessly spoken one night beneath the moon. It's so strange, please say we're not dreaming. It's so sweet, this all must be true. For in all this world of scheming, strange and sweet is my love for you. So strange, please say we're not dreaming. It's so sweet, this all must be true. For in all this world of scheming, strange and sweet is my love for you.
Not bad. Sounds very good on a Victrola 9 using this reproducer. Okay. And this, by the way, is the same machine from the other day, the 313080G. And normally this would wear the exhibition reproducer, which also sounds very nice. But we had to test the number 4, so good opportunity to see how it sounds. Because this was something dealers were selling at the time in the mid-20s to upgrade these older machines. They would sell it to you for whatever you wanted. I found them on Victor Victrola 50s. I know I've seen them on 9s, 8s, any machine really, even the 4. And if you went into the dealer and said, I want to upgrade a little bit, hey, we got this new reproducer. Unfortunately, most of them were pot metal, at least in this country. First few months, however, were brass, but good luck finding one because they're kind of rare on the ground. Every now and then one shows up, but usually for a lot of money. But HMV are a little easier to find. They use them for a few years as opposed to a few months. So you can usually find one on UK eBay for $150 or around there, somewhere in there anyway. Plus you have to rebuild it. You can't just use it the way it is. This has been completely rebuilt, as the exhibitions have been. That's why these machines sound good, because the reproducers are not rattling around with old dried up gaskets and fix-its like putting tape on them and horrible solid isolator bushings and stuff like that. You can't do that. That bushing back here, when this gets dried out and old, it forms gaps and massive air leaks, which robs volume and fidelity. And it's not doing the job protecting your records. It doesn't have the freedom to move in the groove. So it really doesn't do much. And the same for those white gaskets you see there. Those are tube rubber gaskets. Rubber tubes, basically. And when they dry out and crack, your diaphragm no longer seals. You lose, the sound sounds like two kids with the tin cans and the string. Sounds terrible. So you have to get these rebuilt or learn to do it yourself. There are outfits that do it. Several around the country that I know of. You can send them away. You'll find them on the internet, or you could learn to do it yourself. Walt Summers will sell you a kit. He's in Gettysburg, or just outside of Gettysburg. He advertises. He's Cyber Tigger on eBay. And he'll sell you a kit to rebuild this. He'll include a rudimentary instruction page that at least gives you some of the basics. It doesn't cover important subjects like how to straighten a bent needle bar, things like that. But you learn that with experience. If you're only going to do one, however, probably best just send the reproducer to Walt. Pay the $45, $50, or whatever it is he charges these days, and just have it done. You'll save your records. Your machines will sound so much better. And the same goes for the number 2 or the number 4 or the orthophonics, all of them. They all deteriorate with age, and they have to be rebuilt to properly play records today and have the records sound good and protect the records. That's the important part. You can always get more reproducers and needles and machines, but the records, when they're worn out, they're done. They cannot be brought back like a machine can. So you want to have the best possible reproducer you can have in the best condition. Always change your needles. And if you play these 40s records, I don't recommend doing it a lot. But if you do, use the low-tone needles, the little tiny needles, because they do a lot less damage. They're a lot easier on the records. And try to find the lightest reproducer. This is one instance when a pot metal reproducer or aluminum one, like the Pollard reproducers, really help, because they don't dig into the records as much. These records do not have the grit in the makeup of the black shellac that the older Victors did from before 1935. The point of that grit was to wear the needle to the record, not the record to the needle. So what happens with these is, if you use enough times with the steel needles, you start to cut the record, and that's not good, because this record cannot shape the needle to its needs, while the old ones could, even though you're supposed to change needle every time you play the older records too. Because each time you play a record, that needle is conformed to that record only at that exact angle it's in the reproducer. And if you try to play another record on it, yeah, it'll play, but now you have a cutting tool in the groove, and it's starting to do damage. You don't want to do that. But that was a look at the 8 and the 9. I figure while they're side by side, it's a good time. And I mentioned the other day, I don't know if you can see it. Let me turn on the light here so you can see it. Okay, that's better. That is the needle cups on the 8. Notice they're like that. And on the 9, they're always like this, straight in a row. And then, of course, the obvious size difference. I mean, you can see the size difference here with a 10-inch, turntable in there. You don't have a whole lot of room there. This has the 12-inch turntable, and you almost have the same amount of room. So you can see that obviously this is a larger cabinet, a larger case, larger horn. It's other than that, it's the same design basically with the lid. And the speed controls are on these models. They are the same, because 1915 and 1917 they had not yet gone to the speed control with the little plastic window in it. I much prefer these because they're so much easier to adjust. You just turn a knob to where it's supposed to be and it's done. Once you have it spinning at 78, you just adjust this and it takes like 2 minutes. while the ones with the glass windows can take, or plastic windows, can take considerably longer. Well, there you go. Let's take a step back, and you can see them.